this session of the program. Good morning, Anambra, our discussion session, where we will be talking about ECU's topic that has to do with you and I, and of course how we can become better, do better, and of course act better and live better. I'm Iberi Ugonna. Today we will be looking at global hand washing. And of course, you know that October 15th is Global Hand Washing every year, a global advocacy day dedicated to increasing awareness and understanding about the importance of hand washing with soap as an effective and affordable way to prevent diseases and save lives. We have guest professionals here in the studios who is going to be talking about this topic. But before then, we have an intro about what this global hand washing day is all about. We will go and bring you the intro when we return. And of course, I will be introducing our guest to us. Stay with us.
The International Hand Washing Day, also known as the Global Hand Washing Day, is a day set aside to motivate and mobilize people around the world to improve their hand cleansing habits. This day is observed annually on the 15th of October and is dedicated to raising the awareness of hand washing with soap as a key factor in disease prevention. The campaign was initiated to reduce childhood mortality rates and related respiratory and diarrhea diseases by introducing simple behavioral changes such as hand washing with soap before and after meal, after using the toilet, and after coming in contact with others outside to reduce the rate of spreading germs. Through the Enlightenment campaign and awareness creation, we help to foster and support a general culture of hand washing with soap in all societies, as well as bringing out the benefit of washing hands properly as that simple factor. Also, this will bring the mortality rate of respiratory diseases by 25% and deaths from diarrhea diseases by 50% across the world. Through the act of regular hand washing, we can cut down on being sick, thus allowing us save millions of lives each year. Not washing our hands when dirty and after coming in contact with dirty surfaces could be very dangerous. This is because germs enter our body through our eyes, nose, and mouth. People often touch this part of their bodies without realizing it. Therefore, the International Hand Washing Day helps to spread to the world how that affects our health and those around us in many ways. A number of infectious diseases can be spread from one person to another by contaminated hands. It can also help to prevent the spread of germs like bacteria and viruses that cause diseases that affect our health. Most of these infections, bacteria, and viruses causes serious complications, especially for young children, the elderly, and those with weakened immune systems. Studies around the world have shown that if we can make hand washing a habit and also creating the awareness on a daily basis, we can get to save humanity and reduce its risks from different kinds of germs. This reduces the risk of death through bacterial infection than a single vaccine or a medical intervention. As the saying goes, charity begins at home. Making washing of hands a part of us and spreading this knowledge to our families and friends will help save lives around the world.
Yes, welcome back. If you're just joining us now, this is Good Morning Anambra, and of course we're live right here in Oka. And we have been talking about the Global Hand Washing Day. Well, we're just back from the background of what the day is all about, what the day seeks to achieve. And of course, why globally we are celebrating the Global Hand Washing Day. Well, I told you before we went on that intro that we have two professionals in the house already who will be telling us more and more about this day. My very first guest this morning is Masa Okechukwu Onyedibe. He's a senior geologist and of the Ministry of Power and Water Resources. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, we have Mrs. Jennifer Ifechukwu Anyebuka. She is a senior scientific officer, Water Resources Department, Ministry of Power and water resources. Good to have you on the show, Jenny.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me quick start with Sir Okechukwu, who's a senior geologist. I like that course. My roommate in the university studied that while I went for another course. Okay, quickly, Global Hand Washing Day. People ask various questions. What do this day exactly seek to achieve? Let's talk about that. Let's begin.
Okay, thank you so much. Global Hand Washing Day, just like the name implies, is a day set aside by the global body, to increase awareness and understanding on the importance of hand washing. Not just hand washing, but hand washing with soap under running water, as a means, as an effective and affordable means of saving lives. This year's theme says Unite for Universal Hand Hygiene. It calls on everyone, to work together to scale up hand hygiene practices, And for us to understand it better, recall during the time of COVID-19, the part of the things we consider the new normal, or rather, non-pharmaceutical means of preventing COVID-19 was this simple practice of hand washing. And it is said that our hands plays a key role in ensuring good health. So what it means is that at all times we must try as much as possible to wash our hands. Before now, it was said that hand washing is only before and after eating. But from the events, happening so far, you will agree with me that it has gone past that eating and washing before and after eating. You wash your hands at critical points. When you go to, like your documentary said, when you use the toilet. In fact, as frequently as possible, because you are bound to, even your hands can go to where you never expected it to go, and considering the fact that during involuntary actions, you may find yourself put your hand in your mouth, in your nose, even to scratch your eye, and these are pathways through which germs and pathogens enter our system. So that is one of the reasons, that is the main reason why we must ensure hand hygiene.
All right, thank you very much. Let me come over to you now, Jennifer. Well, you agree with me that this is, let me put it this way, in this part of the world, it's not really our culture, hand washing. What I mean is, he said something about the normal belief we have in this part of the world is whenever you want to go and eat, wash your hand before you eat, and when you're done eating, wash your hand. It's not our culture to, you just go and wash your hand, even when you're not doing anything. This particular day celebrating global hand washing, what is the essence of all of this?
Okay, just like my senior colleague just said, that is a day set aside to create awareness for us to wash our hand under running water with soap. And okay, in order for us to imbibe this in our young generation, do you understand? Because, like you said, that is not our culture. It is now left for us to teach our younger generations how to learn this. For example, now, we've gone past the day whereby we are told, go and wash your hand, you just bring a bowl of water and wash inside there. The second person will come and wash in that one is not good at all. We end up spreading the germs. Do you understand? We are supposed to wash our hand, teach our children how to wash our hand under a running water. Some people will say we don't have taps at home. But there are these plastic buckets that has the tap mouth with it. Yes, that one is affordable. You can even get it, put it at home, keep it in strategic positions whereby you teach your children how to wash your hand, not just put your hand and wet your hand and come out. With soap, You wash it, then wash the middle of the fingers, wash the palm and also at the back of the hands. And sometimes you wash up to here. Do you understand? Because children can be missing. Sometimes if you don't supervise them, go and wash, they will just wet their hands, wet the germs and go and eat the food.
Yeah.
Do you understand? They end up transmitting the germs into their body.
I wish there was a plastic and water here so she can actually, give us some examples. Okay, so what you were saying again, let's get back to some of the restaurants in Nigeria here.
Okay.
We know that the various places you go to eat and you see them, especially when you have to eat swallow, you see them serve you the food and serve you water in a bowl and all of that. You talked about washing your hand with running water.
Yes.
A lot of these outlets, a lot of these restaurants, a lot of these eateries don't have that running water system. They end up, serving you water in a bowl.
Yes.
Where do we go from here?
That is the main reason for this awareness. Do you understand? Some of them, they are not even aware of it. So this day set aside for hand washing days is to create that awareness. For some of them, some restaurants that they've already upgraded, they have wash hand basin whereby there's a running water there. And another thing that we have to learn now, some of them will keep towel. After washing your hand, you clean your hand with towel. Please don't try it in a public place.
Okay.
Yes, because in a public place, you don't know who else has used that towel. That towel can be contaminated.
Yeah.
So that is why some offices and even some restaurants, they have this air drying machine. After washing your hand, you air dry it. Don't use any towel that is kept in the public. So, as you said, some of the restaurants that still put water in their bowl, they are not well informed.
Let me come to you now, Sir Okechukwu. Since this is a very important part of our life, are there no bodies that should be regulating some of these eateries who don't have this running water, for instance? She talked about there's some other places where people use towel, and there's some other places where they have this air drying machine. Should it be in a case where if you cannot afford these things that could make it easier and more healthy for the people to come and eat, then such business shouldn't open up?
Yeah, there is an agency of government that should oversee compliance to such things, compliance against such, rather. And unfortunately, in as much as we advocate, for an end to such practices, we do not have a direct mandate to go and enforce. Rather, environmental health officers, I think, are the ones mandated, because it has to do with the main thing there is the eatery, the food. So I know they regulate, unsafe practices involved in eateries. So, and that of water, to a large extent, must have, be part of their mandate, because it is unsafe, really, to wash on a basin with stagnant water. It has, in fact, it's like just you trying to remove germs, and at the end of the day, you collect more germs, because it has more or less those things.
Even when you're there and they're pouring the water,
those things you are supposed to wash off, those germs and pathogens, are the ones that you will collect back, because it's a stagnant water. You are supposed to wash and make the water flow away. So that is it. So the agency that should do that, the mandate mostly lies with, to my mind anyway, with Ministry of Environment, particularly environmental health professionals. But that of advocacy, as regards safe practices in water, and that is with regards to hand hygiene, our office, because we deal mostly with this water, we are the ones that bring to life this water. Our office is mandated with providing water, making it as easily accessible to
all
the
right,
people.
so we're going to be talking about that. Just to also let you know, if you're just watching us, if you're joining us now, this is Good Morning Anambra, and today we're talking about the Global Hand Washing Day. Of course, it happens on the 15th of October every year. Today's 17th, but we're also bringing that to you. And of course, we have two professionals in the house who's been telling us more about it. So you can also join us this morning by calling the numbers on your screen. I'll be here to take your calls. If there are questions you need to ask, we'll be here to gladly hear them. If there are contributions you need to make, of course, we will also welcome it. Let me come to you still, Sir Okechukwu. Looking at this issue of hand washing, let's delve into some of the challenges, because you just said that your ministry is responsible for providing this water, and it looks as if water in some parts of the state or the country in general, since we're doing it globally, having water issue. And we're talking about regular hand washing. We're talking about trying to, be at this level, keep our hygiene level, very high. Let's talk about some of the challenges that could make hand washing a big problem.
Yeah. One is absence of easy access to water, to potable water. And I must say kudos must be given to the government, the present administration, because before now, we had issue with the sector in the past, so leading to unbundling, or repealing of the act establishing a water corporation. And now it has been corporatized. But since that time, we have not had, a real, government.
Let me pause you there. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Yes, good morning. Can you hear us? All right, go ahead.
Okay. As I was saying before now, this with the disbandment of the then Water Corporation and the creation of more or less a company that will be, that will oversee the affair. Unfortunately, the government has not set up a governance structure by way of appointment of MD and the board that will really oversee the affair. But then, the ministry has been moving ahead, going ahead, doing programs and trying to see, because those facilities of government scattered all over the states, those assets of the then Water Corporation, some of them have been vandalized. So in-house, internally, this present administration, apart from the fact that a new appointment has been made by the governor, to the effect that the agency now has a new managing director.
Okay.
But I'm trying to say that before now, the ministry has been trying to see that we protect those facilities and that we find, a kind of PPP arrangement to see that private sector come in, because that's the essence of the corporatization, so that water will not be a free commodity. Because one of the issues we had that led to the collapse of the structure was inability of the government to realize enough fund, to carry out their day-to-day activities in the corporation. So with this new plan, the government will now be, will now engage private sectors, whereas the ministry will do more of supervisory work. So these people will manage those facilities, make sure it is done on a sustainable, water is given to citizens to the Anambra on a sustainable basis, with the aim of recouping their investment, because they will put their money.
What do you mean when you say sustainable basis?
Sustainable basis in the sense that they will use their money to make the facilities up and running. We have the facilities.
Okay.
We have Onitsha water scheme, Greater Onitsha.
Okay.
We have at Ineu, we have at Ekulobe. So many places.
So I was going to ask, because we're talking about the challenges. And you talked about in order to get these facilities running and not make the water free and all of that. Yeah. I believe that this is a basic amenities. Should citizens be paying for water?
Actually, these are gone that when water, just like I told you earlier, was a free commodity. Water is now, although we don't encourage charging people beyond what they can afford, it must have to be, cheaper than what you can get outside. Because that of government, the good thing about it, the one generated by government is portable, it's been certified, it's treated. So whatever water that comes from government agency is wholesome.
Okay, so let me come to Jenny. Let's talk about unwholesome water, because he's talked about whatever water that comes from government is wholesome, and because there are facilities that have to make this water wholesome, then the citizens have to pay for it. Let's talk about unwholesome water, because I don't know, I'm having this feeling that if we have to pay for basic amenities, what happens to those very, very weighty amenities that we also have to pay for? That was the hope of the common man, if we have to also pay for water.
Okay. One thing about life, if you get something just free of charge like that, you will misuse it.
Says who?
And you will mismanage it.
Says
just
who?
Check it out in everyday activity. Anything that you get just for free, just like that, you mismanage it. And maybe down to rural areas whereby they have unwholesome water. Let's just make use of that language now. We help ourselves. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You don't wait for government to do this and do that. Number one, you help yourself. For example, now there are many ways that we can disinfect our water. You understand? And make it good for cooking. For example, boiling of water. At least, let me just say 95% of the germs in that water
is
gone once you boil. At least you can do
but
this.
Is there a particular kind of water you can boil, or is it all water that you boil and the germs are gone? Or is there a kind of water maybe you say, okay, this is clean enough, boil it? Because I know some very dirty water. Do you mean if you boil salt, it is also
you can clean? All these germs cannot be seen with your bare eyes.
I know that.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So for example, let me just say in our streams, sometimes in the stream you see some people washing clothes there. Some people will even end up defecating there.
Yes.
Some people will even throw their dustbins there and everything. So your mind will tell you this water is not clean.
Yeah.
You don't even need a microscope to check it.
Yeah.
So in your own mind, don't just take it home and give your baby to drink or something. Like, you boil it. As a parent or as a mother, you boil it. And another one, let me still drag it down to our younger generation.
Yeah.
One thing, if you teach children something, it hardly leaves their memory.
Yes, at a very young age.
Yeah, at a very young age. They see you, daddy or mommy, you always wash your hand. Once you come back, you wash your hand with soap and water and everything. Before you know it, they will learn it. Even my small baby, there's one day that I taught her. And she corrected me. I thought anytime that she sneezes or coughs, I'll tell her, close your mouth. So there's a day that I mistakenly did it. She told me, Mommy, close your mouth. I was like, that this small boy.
No, but she's learning from you.
Yeah, she's correct. And I did, okay, sorry. I just did closing my mouth. But I was happy because she learned what I taught her.
Okay.
So, dragging it down to our younger generation, because Igbo says, there's another age in Igbo say that charity begins, and you start from home. Do you understand? Because if you train a better person at home, when the person goes out to the community, he will practice whatever that is being taught.
Okay, I'm still talking about unwholesome water. She talked about getting down to the rural areas, and you talked about equipment that will be used to make this water wholesome, and you give it out to the citizens in a state or situation that they can afford, that it won't be so much for them. What about people who can afford this water, and people who live in areas where water is difficult to get? What's your ministry doing about them?
Yeah, actually, we have an agency, Rural Water Sanitation and Hygiene Agency, the RUWASA. They are in charge of, providing these water, sanitation and hygiene facilities to rural dwellers in Anambra State. And they have done it so well that most of the villages, most of the hard-to-reach communities at Anambra East, Anambra West, parts of Obaru and so on, can now boast of boreholes, where it is not feasible to put in a motorized borehole. Okay. We do hand dug, the one they use hand to pump. So, but all these things are aimed at ensuring easy access to potable water.
So I was going to ask you, Anambra State government, or Anambra State in particular, depends on borehole. How safe is this?
Yeah, but I just explained the strides we are making internally, to curb that. Before now, I can tell you, and it is not far. The reason it's not far-fetched because geologically, this area is a sedimentary environment, so it is easy to drill and get water.
Okay.
You can't do it in the north. It's a basement complex. It costs a lot to, drill a borehole in the north.
In the north.
So, but here, it is not healthy environmentally,
in this part.
Anywhere, to have to encourage a proliferation of boreholes. So that is why the government is working hard to revive this urban water sector. I just told you, I learned just yesterday that appointment has been made. I believe it will start, whatever plans the ministry had been, having on urban water sector.
But this borehole issue, is it totally bad? Is it totally bad? Are there no ways, it can be checkmated and, people who indulge in this drilling of boreholes, the government looks into it and makes sure that they're certified people who would do it and do it well?
Yeah, we have it in our law. That one is domicile with us to, enforce and compliance to borehole drilling. We are supposed, but we cannot enforce this when the government has not provided water. When it was being enforced, there was water coming from the government to the people. The time we had the water corporation. So, but we believe that now, once plans, the government has matured, it will help us to go in and enforce, discourage people from getting borehole, because people must be made to key into government's.
So what's the aim of all of this? That's to discourage people from drilling borehole finally?
Yes, exactly.
And there won't be anything like borehole in the state, and we just depend on the urban.
But then, if you will have to pay for you to have borehole even in your house.
And pay heavily, right?
Yes, because government owns the land. And borehole is drilled on the land. So wherever you drill your borehole, if you don't have...
Wait. There's another question I will be asking you, but let's go to the street now. Let's get to find out what people have to say about the Global Hand Washing Day. When we return, we'll delve more into this borehole issue and how the government is hoping to, stop all of this. Then what happens to people who has already drilled their borehole? Will the government shut it down and, just make it go like that? Stay with us. We'll be right back. It's Good Morning, Anambra.
Washing of hands is something that is essentially important in the life of any human being at all who takes hygiene as one of the major principles in their life. It's absolutely important we do wash our hands regularly. The reason they need to put it in practice is because this generation these days, in these our current centuries, there are so many diseases that are flying around that we can easily contaminate by placing our hands on something, touching people, going for a social gathering or what have you, right? So we need to take washing of our hands very, very important so as not to contact diseases.
The need for hand washing is that, number one, it helps us to prevent bacteria. You understand? Hand washing is very good because most of the bacteria or disease that we contact is through the disease or bacteria can enter through your hands. You understand? So by washing your hands, it will make your hands clean and it will help you to prevent bacteria from having their way into your system or into your body.
There is every need of hand washing because our people say that cleanliness is next to godliness. And washing of hand, most of the time we use this hand to do many things. The hand, we use it to do virtually the whole thing we are doing in life is hand. So most of the time we greet people, we shake people, we touch many things. So it is very, very vital that you wash your hand all the time, constantly. It is a practice. If you can just adopt it as a system, just when immediately you are coming from anywhere, you wash your hand. Anything you do, you wash your hand. Before you eat, you wash your hand. You touch clothes, you wash your hand. It will help you. It's hygienic. It will help you to maintain your level of hygienic and your level of good health.
When we go out, all this domestic work, we used to walk around to do something. We're supposed to wash our hands before I eat anything eatable to prevent disease like COVID-19. There is use of touching all these opening things. We have to put in practice to avoid sickness and any other diseases that will cost money. But there is no money now, so we have to control it.
People wash hands for hygienic to prevent disease. And it's good for you to wash hands before you eat. It's good because if you don't get disease for yourself, you get for others. You know, we Africans, we too shake hands steady as a part of greeting. That is our culture. COVID-19 came, we use washing of hands to at least curtail the spread of that disease. So it's good to wash our hands always.
Yes, it's good to wash our hands always. Well, I don't know how else we want to say this, but it's important that everybody, key into this. Well, if you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Anambra. We're back from the street, and we still have our professionals in the house as we talk and discuss about Global Hand Washing Day 2022. And of course, Kichuku Onyedibe is still here with us, the Senior Geologist, Ministry of Power and Water Resources, and Jennifer Ifechuku Onyebuka, who's the Senior Scientific Officer, Water Resources Department, Ministry of Power and Water Resources, are still here with us. Before we went on that break, you talked about the best, you talked about what the government is doing, to get the water up and running in the state. Let's look at what exactly is the best strategies as regarding hand washing. Quickly, let me ask you. What are the best strategies when it comes to this hand washing issue?
Best strategy as
Best strategies as regarding hand washing, for instance, you've talked about running water. Away from running water, are there other ways, are there other strategies we can achieve? Yes,
of course, you can use a hand sanitizer in the absence of water.
So how safe is the hand sanitizer?
It's an alcoholic, solvent. It can once you apply it on your hand, it has the ability to dissolve whatever germs and pathogens.
I mean, we in this part of the climate, especially the Igbos, we know when we want to eat swallow, we wash our hand.
Yeah.
So in a place where there is no water, can you hand sanitize your hand then illegally the sharp?
Of course.
Yeah, with the
of course. It means no harm because it's an alcoholic content. Alcohol doesn't harm the system.
Okay.
Or rather, you make use of cutlery if there is no water for you to
people that don't know how to use cutlery, people
you
like
must
me.
learn it too. Since there's no water.
People like me that don't know how to use cutlery.
If there's no water, you make use of cutlery.
All right, so because time is really our friend, we also have to go. Let me come to you, Jenny. He's talked about the essence and why it's important. Okay, let's take this call. Sorry. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Please, can you speak up? Hello? All right, network is really not being friendly. He's talked about the essence, the importance and all of that. Let's talk about how we can start imbibing this into our culture. Like I said, it's not really our thing. We have this belief in mind that it's always when we want to eat, that we wash our hand and all of that. So how do we start? Do you think this issue of hand washing and all of that should be inculcated in school curriculum, or what exactly? How do you think we can actually, spread this message that it becomes a part of us?
Yes, definitely. In school curriculum, that physical and health education is under that place.
Sure.
And
Or do they do all of that? Because I know I did physical and health education in school, and I really cannot remember telling me wash hand. And most times they just talk about food generally, and that's it.
But it's still there. I can still remember in my own when I was in secondary school. Our teacher.
But you washing your hand, or they were just teaching you how to
they just taught us now.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's one thing to have those practicals.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Okay, in order to imbibe it in our younger generation, you have to tell them the repercussion. If you don't do this, look at what you are going to face. Do you understand? So once they know that if I don't wash my hand properly, I can get infected, I can have cholera, or I can have diarrhea, even hepatitis A. Do you understand? With dirty hands, you can also contract it. Or even irritation, infection in the eyes. Because you see, in this our hands, we make use of it. Let me just say, in our daily activities, 95% of everything we do in a day, we make use of. See you pressing your phone now, you're using your hand.
Sure.
To open the doorknob, you're using your hand. To push something, it's the same hand. And before you know it, this hand enters your mouth. Do you understand? So you're supposed to tell them, tell the younger generation, tell everybody, if you don't wash your hand, you are at risk of being sick or even death sometimes. Do you understand? Because we have to take proactive measure, have to prevent first. Because in this side of the world, we like doing things when how will I say, when everything have already started spoiling. But if we have to prevent it, you find out that it is cheaper and you even save life.
Okay, it's cheaper and it will save life. It's important we stand from the cradle. So I was going to ask you now, sir. Okay. She talked about the fact that, and we know that this our hands, we use it almost 95 or 98%. How often do we wash this hand? Because we're using the hand always. The hands are always used. So is it that wherever I'm going to, I'm carrying water or I'm carrying soap and looking for running water and all of that? How often do we wash this hand? Because if we have to look at the fact that if you don't do this, the dangers in it is so much from diseases and all of that, how often?
I think it requires a real attitudinal change.
Okay.
I will permit me to, delve into COVID-19 era. That disease really brought about a change in a whole new, the way we do things.
Yes.
You could remember before now we don't used to do Zoom meetings, but it changed a lot of things. It makes the use of technology, very, very paramount. And that is what we call the new normal. But surprisingly, after this COVID-19, you discover that people still do Zoom meeting up till now. But then they are disregarding
the COVID-19
this protocol that requires you to wash hands. And before COVID-19, this thing ought to be our culture. So the fact that if we can still, do Zoom meetings, that was brought about by this advent of COVID-19, nothing stops us from, complying completely with this hand washing. In any case, that is what this advocacy is all about. I think by the time we continue speaking on this, people will get to know and know the reasons why we need to indulge in hand washing.
Still talking about trying to imbibe the hand washing culture to kindergartens and all of that. It looks as if the family itself doesn't help matter. Why is that?
Yeah, okay.
The family?
Families, yes, because you talked about the fact that you had a situation or an experience with your daughter or your son, and he had to say, "Hey, mommy, you didn't do this, you didn't do that," and all of that. It looks as if the families are not helping matters, because a lot of families don't even do these things, and maybe just because it was you, or maybe because of how enlightened you are, there's some mothers who are like, "Will you come and shut up and go to your homework or get away from here?" You understand?
Yes.
So they don't help matters. Why do you think it's so?
Because some of them, majority are not aware of this. That is why we are creating this awareness. Once you find out as a mother or as a father, bringing it down to the family, you're finding out that your visit to the hospital will be reduced. Once you inculcate the habit of washing your hands every day, always, whenever there is dirty, after playing outside or after playing with a dog or your pet or your cat, you make sure you wash your hand. After, maybe if you move outside and in social activities and everything, you come back, you wash your hand. If we create this awareness for mothers and fathers to see that, once you inculcate this behavior to your children and they practice it fervently, your visit to the hospital will be limited. Nobody will want to go to the hospital and waste your money and come back because of an illness that can be prevented. Do you understand? That is the reason for this awareness. For people that are enlightened, they are doing it already. But this awareness are for people that are not enlightened. Some of the mothers, maybe they give their children biscuits, especially in a social, I've seen it, social activities, place that people are filled up. The biscuit will fall down. It is not left for you to tell your child, don't pick that biscuit. Do you understand? Some mothers will pick it up by themselves and use their hand and dust it up and give it to the child. It is not right at all. So the mothers and fathers, even aunties and uncles, will have a very big work to do.
All right, as we are rounding off now, Sir Ikechukwu, is there anything, we talked about sensitization we've been doing as we celebrate the Global Hand Washing Day. Is there anything you're planning separately or differently to create more awareness to the people and make them understand why it is important to imbibe this habit of hand washing?
Actually, before now, other years we used to do road shows and other organs of the ministry like the Ruwasa. Yes. Take it down to even schools, because just like we've been discussing, children are real change agents. Whatever you teach a child will remain indelible in his or her mind. Yeah. Even the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go. Yeah. That when he's old, he will not depart from it. So that is exactly the way it is. And we've been, taking this advocacy to schools, going to marketplaces, doing roadshows. But unfortunately, this time, we decided to do it in this level, in this way.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What will be your parting message? Because we're leaving now. What will be your parting message to the citizens, to families, to mothers, fathers? Because when we talk about, I said earlier on that this is not our culture. Let's just be frank. But then again, I'm saying it's not our culture. You find out that a lot of us who leave the shores of the country in the diaspora, and we see what the other people are doing, we just key into, and it becomes our culture. You understand? Automatically, you don't need anybody to tell you that when you get to UK or US, you don't finish drinking your pure water nylon and throw it on the road. You don't finish drinking your drink and throw it on the road. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You just key into their system. So what would you be saying to the citizens, parents, kids and everywhere in the Anambra as we're getting today?
Okay. Talking about culture, I will tell you that even before now, during the time of Ebola, during the time of COVID-19, families that you say don't comply to hand washing, they had buckets.
Because they were scared of death.
That's what I'm telling you. So then what happened later? It is the attitude, attitudinal change. And the only thing that will make them to understand and still imbibe the habit of hand washing is persistent advocacy. Okay. And the government of the day in Anambra State has been on the forefront of this advocacy, trying to change the attitude of the people. And I will assure Anambra, from what is happening in the ministry right now, which is in line with the governor's vision in water sector, to make water accessible to the people. Plans are on. In no distant time, it shall materialize. Because letters have been sent. Before now, we used to wait to get letters, complaints from communities that they need this, they need that, they need borehole in their school. But this time, the government wrote to communities, the Ministry of Local Government, all the PGs in this state, to send in the status of their water wash, what we call water sanitation and hygiene facilities so that government can know where to come in. So this is a real a departure from what we had in the past. And I believe that with this, access to water will be greatly improved. And hand washing will improve.
All right, thank you very much. You have one or two things to add before we go, Jenny?
Yes. My parting message is a kind let us take proactive measures instead of reactive one. Prevent it first of all. For example, you don't wait for government to do everything for you. Help yourself first. Then government will come in.
Thank you very, very much. Well, just to also let you know that the theme for this year, of course, they've said it, but the theme for this year's Global Hand Washing Day says Unite for Universal Hand Hygiene. It's important that you actually key into this. It's not for me. It's for you. It's for your family. You know, you wouldn't say you want to shy away from it. If you keep it clean, you know, it benefits you and it also benefits your family. And on that note, I want to say a very big thank you to our guest this morning who has been able to tell us more about global hand washing, more about why it's important, the essence of it, and of course the dangers if you don't practice the regular hand washing. Thank you so much for joining us. Okechukwu Onyedibe. He is the senior journalist, Ministry of Power and Water Resources. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
And of course, thank you so much, Jennifer Ifechukwu Aniyebuka, who is the senior scientific officer, Water Resources Department, Ministry of Power and Water Resources. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Well, tomorrow, let's do this again. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who's made this possible. The guys behind the camera, of course, the producer herself, Ifi Unachuku, everyone on the MCR. Thank you so much, from the makeup artist, and of course, the executive producer himself, Chido Obidiegu Agwijogene. Thank you so much, everyone, for making this a reality today. I'm Ebere Ugonna. Let's do this again tomorrow. Bye-bye.